You have to have a goal in life. You don't just sit back and not do nothing. He burglarized my house. He got in the window. So when I opened my door, he was like, "My queen," his exact words. He took $1,000 and my 2 cell phones. He came back 2 days later and did the stabbing. I couldn't hold resentment and bitterness. My family literally turned their back on me once I got disabled.
Oh, really?
It's hard to try and identify with this new body. They put the wrong person in a wheelchair because I'm fighting for all of us now. Basically, you don't have no time to get depressed because
It was August 2019. That was when your ex-boyfriend, he attacked you because you wanted to leave the relationship. I mean, can you
yes,
take us through the events leading up to the attack?
I never really got into all of this, but I can
Oh,
tell you.
okay.
On that day, it was August 6th, 2019, okay? August 1st of that month, okay, Rondell had been in a halfway house to help with his drug addiction.
Yeah.
Okay. He had been in there for, I think, a month, and we had made an agreement that if he was to get kicked out of that facility, that it would be his time to fight for the family and that I was done. So he was already aware of it. On August 2nd of 2019, he was kicked out of the program and he called me to pick him up. I faked like I was going to pick him up and told him, yeah, but I actually called his parole officer because he was on federal parole
Mm.
to let her know that he was being released and for her to basically detain him. That was the thing. She told me that she would take care of it and for her to give her a moment and she was going to contact the facility and see what was going on. 2 days later, he burglarized my house. He got in the window, but my children wasn't here that day. And when I went to get something to eat, I came back to the house and he had unlocked the door. So he had put the screen back up, so I didn't know someone was in the house already. So when I opened my door, he was like, "My queen," to his exact words, and I ran. I dropped my food because I had went to get something to eat. It was like 1 in the morning, and so I dropped my food, dropped my soda, everything, and ran back to the car, locked the doors. And by the time he made it to the car, I was already gone. I was already pulling out and I was able to get away from him.
Yeah.
Called the parole officer the next morning, also pressed charges the next morning, got a restraining order. And I called her to let her know that he burglarized the house. But I didn't get a response from her. I left a voicemail, text messages, because I had her personal number and was trying to contact her. Nothing happened. 2 days later, but I did tell her that if my children was here, I would not run. I said, I got away from him this time, but next time if my children is here, I'm not going to run. And so he came back to 2 days later and did the stabbing. So that led up to August 6th. And that day, I remember that day he burglarized the house, he took $1,000 and my 2 cell phones.
Oh, God.
So he was actually, once I got in the house and he was gone and I was able to press charges, he was actually looking for a gun we had in the house. But I had got rid of the gun once I knew he had left the facility. So I moved the gun. And so I seen he was looking through my shoe boxes looking for it. So thank God I had moved it because it probably wouldn't have been a stabbing. It probably would have been a shooting, you know. So I remember that day I had been contacting him trying to get the money back because it was the first of the month and that was my rent and my car note money and he knew this already. And so when he came over that night, I didn't know he was coming to try and get in the window or anything.
Yeah.
That was like 2 in the morning. And so when he was trying to get in the window, I seen the knife and because I sleep light. So I heard like the rattling at the window. And I guess he was trying to get back in the same window. When
Wow.
I did press charges and the police came in, we noticed that he had unlocked like 2 windows just so he could have access in at another time,
Oh my goodness.
which they should have said was premeditated. And so that night he tried to get in the window, he couldn't. And I remember waking up and telling him I was in my gown, and I remember saying, Rondell, you're not getting in here. And then that's when he went around and kicked the door in. Mind you, that Rondell is 6'4", like 230, 40 pounds. So he's like football player weight. And so my sister was here, and my nephew was here, and my two children was here. Now, my sister had spent the night the day before, with my nephew, and I was actually going to bring her home that night. I remember around like 12 something. This is actually facts. Like something told me in my head, turn around and let her spend night. And so we was in the middle of the freeway, and I was like, never mind, you could just spend one more night. And so we came back to my house, and that's when all that happened. And she had been sleeping on the couch. My nephew was in the kids' room with the kids. And so when he kicked the door in, he was like arguing. And I really didn't see the knife at that time. I wasn't paying attention to it again. And so I had went to walk him outside, and I shut the door behind me. And I sat down in a chair in front of me, and that's when I told him. He was like, so you're leaving me? And I was like, yeah. I was like, it's your turn to fight for the family. And then that's when the 4 stab wound was like, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And I remember those 4 B words was those 4 stabs. But the last energy I had, I lunged forward. And I guess that's what scared him. Because when I lunged forward, he probably thought I was just going to lay there and get stabbed. And so I lunged forward, but I instantly fell to the side. And I realized this arm had fell like right in front of me, and I didn't have no control. But that was the level of injury, C5, C6 at the triceps and the wrist. So this arm fell in front of me. And then he took off running. And then my sister ran outside, and she was like trying to move me. And she was like, Brittany. She was like, I can't. And I was like, don't worry about it. I was like, you don't have time for that. Just grab the knife and throw it in case he come back. Okay, so then after she threw the knife in the bushes next door, he did run back. And when he ran back, he ran in the house, and I heard him. I was like being quiet, like making dead, but I never went to sleep throughout this whole situation. And she was like, I can't move you, Brittany. And I was like, that's okay, just grab the knife. And she threw it in the bushes. He came back, and he was asking her where was the keys, like looking through the house for the keys. And so she was like, here, Rondell, just go. And so when he, on his way out, he was like, I hope that bitch is dead. And I thought he was going to kick me or something, like kick me in my head or something. I didn't know. Because my head was like right where the steps was. And so he was just like, I hope that bitch is dead. And I just told her, go to every house on this, go next door and ask him to call. Then she came back to me and said that he didn't answer. And I'm like, well, go to every house on this block until somebody called 911. And the next door neighbor to my left ended up, I guess, hearing the stuff, and they ended up coming to call 911. Then I remember the ambulance coming. But I remember as I was laying on the porch, my son came outside, my nephew, and they stood at the door when he ran off. And my son was like, Mommy, that's Daddy. And I was like, I know, babe, go inside. That's what I told my sister before she started helping. I said, get the kids inside and close the door. And then we ended up focusing on me once she got the kids inside. Once I got in the ambulance, they cut the gown off on a porch. And I remember being able to like mentally relax because I knew I was in safe corridors, I should say.
So as a result of the attack, you're paralyzed from the chest down.
I have an incomplete injury, C5, C6. So incomplete means you have the ability to get mobility back. And a complete injury means you don't have the ability to get movement back. So in the beginning, I wasn't able to move anything. My feeling comes from here down, like the top of this. This is all I can feel up. I don't feel anything down. So yeah, I'm injured at the chest level down. At first I couldn't move anything, hands, arm, or nothing.
Mm.
But eventually I slowly, like week by week, started getting movement back. And so my arms can go above my head and things that the normal quad usually can't do.
Yeah. And obviously you must have went through loads of therapy to get that movement back and so on and to help you through your healing process. How was that like for you?
Well, in the beginning, I knew that I couldn't hold resentment and bitterness
Mm.
against my attacker because I knew that I wouldn't get any healing from that.
Yeah.
So first I was focused on that, my spirit right, that God is hearing my prayers and God is wanting to work with me if I forgave the attacker. So I knew I had to have that down first. Second, all I did was pray and I mentally tried to move things that could move. And so in the beginning, they had me on a lot of opioids to where I was really not able to stay focused in prayer and stay focused on mentally trying to move something. Eventually, I started getting the side effects of being disabled, like spasticity is one of the major parts of being disabled and not allowing yourself to become contracted, where your bones and muscles stay in one position basically and they don't have range of movement. So I have an FES bike here where we put electrodes on my muscles, on my legs and lower half of the core, and it basically stimulates the muscles to move in the way that they should move.
Okay. And how has that been for you? Have you noticed a lot of development?
I started therapy again. I had my first phase of therapy last year for about 6 months from June to December. And I just focused on being more independent. I didn't really focus on trying to walk or any of that because I had a hostile environment here with my mom.
Yeah.
So I was just focused on being able to get my mom back to her apartment and live here with my kids alone.
What I love about you, Brittany, is that regardless of what happened, you still had the courage to go back to school. You graduated, and there's something that you actually said to your twins, which I guess which really empowers you. And I know you're very, very courageous. Can you tell us what that was?
Well, I told them if there's any excuse to not do something, that this would be the perfect situation to just give up.
Yeah.
But if I can do it in a wheelchair, there's no excuse for them to not do it. They're ready to go.
Oh,
They're ready to go, baby.
I could tell they're so energetic.
Yes, basically, you don't have no time to get depressed because whenever I think about going through something, like trying to get in my head and
Yeah.
try to really go into depth in my head about something, it's always the mommy, mommy, and the mommy, mommy. You hear like mommy 1,000 times a day. So I literally don't have 5 seconds to get in my head.
Brittany, how do you think society can better help and support victims of domestic violence?
I think that how we can help as a society or as communities, in your own communities, I think that it should be more shelters,
Yeah.
more domestic violence shelters, because a lot of cities and a lot of states don't even have domestic violence shelters for women to run to. And these ladies or even men will have places to go. This was really a first situation for me. I just know you have to get away because people don't change.
Yeah.
They
Oh,
don't change only if they want to,
that's it.
And that's what a lot of people think. They think they can change them.
Mm.
They think they can change the person, and they think something that they can do can change the person. And in reality, the only thing that'll change them is you leaving.
Yeah.
Because when you leave, then they start thinking about their own actions. See, a lot of times we try to step in doing God's work, and we become in the way.
Yeah.
And so situations happen until we're able to remove ourselves so that God can do his work. We try to fix situations all the time. and we allow these people to lean on us.
Mm.
So not even just domestic, it can be family violence, just with somebody in a family. But we allow these people to lean on us, and that takes God out the equation. He don't have his room. Wait, he don't have his room to do his work. So when this happened to me, I was able to withstand the emotional things, emotional stress or whatever, because I understood spiritual warfare.
Yeah.
And I understand that when you're chosen or you anointed, a spiritual warfare is being played out. So I understood that I'm not never gonna let the devil win.
Man.
So once I woke up out the ICU, I'm like, okay, what else you got for me? Like when I came out of this, I wasn't looking at the attacker like revengeful, I
Yeah.
was looking at it like he tried to use him to accomplish his goal. That's the main reason why I'm able to be so resilient now. It's
Yeah.
because I understood the spiritual warfare.
Wow, that is some powerful stuff. Very powerful, because people who have a big purpose on this earth, they're usually the ones that have like the toughest battles.
Yeah. And I wouldn't wish this on anybody else, but I handled this like a soldier for
Yeah,
real.
I could see it. I could see it in you,
Yeah.
Brittany. What significant message would you like to give to women who are survivors of domestic violence? What would you like to share with them?
If they think that they can't do it, and you think you don't have the strength to do it, to just pray about it. And eventually God will step in if you let go. Because everybody could just say leave and get out, and that's what everybody says. But I know it's not easy for a lot of people because they love. And when you love somebody so much, it's hard to just leave them in a certain situation, and so prayer will give them the strength to do what they think that they can't do, to do the impossible.
Yeah.
Just keep praying when you don't think you have anything, or you don't think that you have the ability or the strength. Prayer will get you through.
So, what do you hope to achieve by sharing your story?
I just want people to recognize that quadriplegics
Yeah.
are not just in nursing homes. I want people to recognize that quads can do it too. I was in a nail shop one day, and I heard this lady saying that her husband got sick, and that because he couldn't walk, that he couldn't drive. And so my nail technician asked me, I said, "We drive?" She said, she said, "Do you drive?" And I said, "Yeah, I have a driving license. I have a disabled driving license." And she's like, "You have kids?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Well, who takes care of them?" And I'm like, "I do." And she's like, "You do by yourself?" I'm like, "Yeah." I was like, "We do the same things you guys do." I'm like, "We can do everything y'all can do." So I just want people to know that we can do it too. And so I'm just sharing my message, because quadriplegics is not, we just not put up. Like, we can do it too.
Yeah.
And I just want people to recognize us.
Amazing. Oh, I love your energy, Brittany. You're such a beautiful source of inspiration. I mean, speaking about driving, you created a spot fund. So that's like a fundraiser, similar to GoFundMe.
It was a lady in there, and her name was Haley.
Yeah.
And she was the medical, like, HR. And so, like, she helped get you referred. The whole time I was in the ICU, this lady signed me up for every type of funding that they had.
Yeah.
When I got out the ICU, I was approved for victims of crime. They awarded me $50,000 to go toward medical bills or medical supplies I needed.
Yeah.
And so it never was like given to you. But they had advanced my case to catastrophic, and then they approved me for 125,000. So my first hospital visit was in the Woodlands. After being out the ICU, I was transferred from Beaumont, Texas to the Woodlands, Texas, and I stayed in that hospital for 4 months. Victims of crime paid that bill when I was released, and from the 125,000, I was left with 89,000. And so that 89,000 could be used for modifications in the house, modifications on a car. So the company that I'm going to go through is called American Lift Aids out here. They modify cars, and they also have cars that are pre-modified, which have like a certain modifications already.
Yeah.
And then they just get the modifications that accommodate you once you purchase the vehicle. So victims of crime approved a vehicle there where they're going to pay 47,000 toward the vehicle. Since the vehicle is already pre-modified, the price value is like 92,000 or 94,000. So victims of crime is going to pay half of it, and I have to have the other half. So once I received my driving license, I literally on the ride home in the medical transportation van, I literally wrote that spot fund to try and get a car. And I really don't know too many people in Beaumont, and I really don't know a lot of people. Like I'm not social media famous or, like a lot of followers and stuff or a lot of friends. So a lot of people wasn't able to see the spot fund, but I tried to get it out as much as I can. And that was like a year ago. And so
Yeah.
far I only raised like $7,000 from the $50,000 that I'm trying to raise. So I haven't really got like a lot of fundraiser help, but my story has been getting out to people. I was never in the emotional state just yet to verbalize my story publicly. But I had to put that aside of how I feel emotionally and how I felt about my disability. I wasn't too comfortable in my skin yet when I put the story out. So I realized that God is doing work by bringing awareness and sharing the story. That's God doing that part. That was never my motive or my goal just yet. My only goal was to help get transportation so that I could start working and so that me and my kids can move around. They're older now, and I was riding them on my lap on my wheelchair since they was 2 years old. And I'm talking about to the grocery store. I even rode my wheelchair to my graduation. I didn't have a way there, and I had to ride my wheelchair there in my heels, in my graduation gown, in my wheelchair down the middle of the street. And I take my kids to the pool and to the park and stuff, but now they're getting older, and they're getting more heavier. And I just couldn't do it. I just can't do it no more.
Can they find the fundraiser?
Well, they could go on my Facebook page, and it's linked under my bio.
Okay.
And also on Instagram, it's linked under my bio. My name is Brittany Morris. You can always just go to Spot Fund and find it. Under my name, Brittany Morris, or you can just friend request me and I can always send you a link. I think that this will help a lot. I thank you so much though for even, like wanting to air it and even helping me ask for donations because I really don't have no support. I'm writing a book, so this whole story, but my family literally turned their back on me once I got disabled.
Really
I feel like,
it.
yeah, they did. But when you have God, that's really all you need, like they don't communicate with my children. And I thank God that I really didn't hold a grudge because I get a lot of support from their family with them.
Yeah.
Like their auntie, which is their dad's cousin. So it's basically their cousin, but we call her their nanny because she's in her 60s. But since I've been disabled, she literally gets my children every other weekend without missing a weekend. And so they really help a lot with the kids. But as far as my personal family, these people don't even call to say, "Are you alive?" Like, I feel like, like in the beginning when people first got disabled, their families used to like lock them in the house or keep them out of the community because they really don't want to be seen with them or know that their family even have a disability. And so a lot of people I see that they do that and they think that you're just supposed to go sit in a nursing home. I remember I was in the ICU and the pastor kept coming in and he kept coming in with power of attorney paperwork. And I was like, I still got my mind. Ain't nobody gonna pull the plug on me. No, I said you can pray with me and that's about it.
That's
But
it.
that paid the power of attorney. No.
You're such an incredible woman. You're
Thank
so
you.
not only are you courageous, you're such a great inspiration to people, to everyone, to just keep on going regardless of what life throws at them. And I want you to
Yeah.
always have that in mind. And we're going to do everything we can to continuously help raising funds for your fundraiser, because there's nothing like seeing you gain that sense of independence back.
Yeah. I'm ready to just start. Like, soon as I get that truck, it's a workforce down here. And so I'm in therapy now,
Yeah.
I got a tendon exchange surgery to
Okay.
where I can pinch better to be able to write better. So now that the writing that I could do there, it was sloppy, but they understood what I was saying when I could write a little bit, when I was able to write a little bit. And so now I'm trying to go back to work when I get the vehicle. I don't want to just stay on disability my whole life, you know.
Yeah.
I want my kids to be financially, you know, and I want them to know that you don't just sit back and not do nothing, you know.
Yeah.
You have to have a goal in life.
That's it.
So I need to start working so that I can have financial stability for us all.
You just keep on going, and you're just going to keep on soaring, keep on thriving. You're just going to keep on receiving more and more blessings.
I told my friend yesterday, I said, they put the wrong person in the wheelchair because I'm fighting for all of us now. Oh, I have a goal. You know, if my only purpose is to open a home
Yeah.
for quadriplegic women and
Amazing.
their children. So it's not really for people that get pregnant as a quad
Yeah.
because you made the choice to have that child. But if you was attacked or had a traumatic injury that jeopardizes you being separated from your children, then it will be a perfect place for you because I want to help those people keep that bond with their children while they rehabilitate and learn how to parent and rehabilitate at the same time, you know. So I want to help those ambitious quadriplegic women. And I want to go through my hospital, through my doctor you know, my normal spinal cord doctor.
Yeah.
She could send people there with my same ambition that she know I have, you know.
Yeah.
So that's something that don't exist, you know. I want to have that for us if possible. But
You're,
I already know that God has that in plan
yes.
because He would have never given me these thoughts.
Oh,
If
Brittany,
I
yes.
wouldn't go for it.
Yes.
So it's gonna happen. It's just a
Amen.
matter.
It definitely is going to happen. Do you know what? I was actually speaking with a friend about that. I was like, God always gives us ideas because He knows we're able to attain them. So it didn't just
Yeah,
come to you by chance, because He knows you're capable of achieving that. So it's going to happen. It's going to happen due time.
definitely. Yeah.
You got a huge
And
purpose here. A huge purpose, Brittany.
yeah,
A big, big,
yeah,
amazing mission that you're going to fulfill to the maximum. It's going to be awesome.
yeah. And it's like when you have your mind together
Yeah.
and something like this happens, it's hard to try and identify with this new body,
Mm.
you know, and it's really hard to try and put it out or feel comfortable going out, feel comfortable not being embarrassed or just feeling comfortable in your new skin. I
Yeah.
think that's the more fight of it all is just being comfortable in your new skin. That's
And
the hard
you've,
part.
you've you've done it, Brittany. You've done it, and you're doing it with a smile on your face. Also, you still got your humor.
Yeah, I have a lot
Still
of
a
humor.
beautiful you. You're doing it, and there's
Yeah.
nothing that's going to stop you. You're going to keep on thriving and thriving.
Yeah. And right now I'm just on the path to try to obtain generational wealth so
Yeah.
that when I leave, my boys will be okay. But I
Amen.
always tell myself if I don't do nothing at all, if I literally was just to sit at home and be a homebody and don't fight for nothing, as long as I embed Jesus Christ into my boys, they'll be able to withstand any trial.
Yeah. Oh,
That's really
Brittany,
important.
you are such a beautiful soul, and I'm so excited to see the rest of your journey and see everything that you're going to achieve, including the shelters for the women. I think it's just such an incredible idea, especially the fact that something like that doesn't exist right now, and you are going to be the one to create it.
Yeah. I hope nobody takes my ideas before I do it.
Exactly. So yes, seriously, we need to make this happen as soon as, obviously in God's time, but you know, everything happens in God's time, and it's going to happen the perfect timing, and you're going to be the one to do it. So I'm excited to see you along that journey and all the amazing things that you're going to achieve, and your twins as well. And thank you.
I tell my boys, I said, you guys don't even know. Mommy is making you guys known before you even get big. I said, people know you guys everywhere. Y'all don't even know it.
Oh, that's actually so true.
Yeah.
Brittany, I'm sending you lots of love. And as I said, anything I could do, let me know. And thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your journey with us and not holding back and being vulnerable. And thank you so much. You're such a blessing to the world. Thank you.
It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure. And thank you. And it was nice meeting you. So,
oh, thank you, Brittany.
You have to have a goal in life.